You can give head in Palworld. This was the tip you were looking for, right? Oh, it wasn't? Oh. Well, I've compiled 10 other tips not related to head in Palworld, ranging from a really good base location that you can farm ore from easily, and how to find shiny Pokemon relatively frequently. Speaking of, if you want to find shiny Pokemon very easily, first you'll need to know how to, what I dub, super glide. These shiny pals, or lucky pals, are very useful. Not only are they larger in size, but they also learn moves that pal normally wouldn't learn. Like, why is Lamball using Gallic Gun? You are not Vegeta. But to super glide, if you didn't know, if you hold the crouch button and you're running, you actually perform a power slide, and for whatever reason, if you go down the slightest decline, your character speeds up dramatically. So by combining this with jumping and gliding, you can go very far in a very short amount of time. But why does any of this matter, right? The basis of shiny hunting is refreshing your encounters in that area to see the most amount of pals in the shortest amount of time. So we'll be using this tech to do that. You'll want to warp to the base that you first start at the beginning of the game. And after you walk down the stairs, come to this landing where there's stairs that lead downward, and if you run and slide down those stairs and jump at the very end and use your glider, you'll go very far. Conveniently, there's a warp at the bottom of these fields, so to do this method effectively, steer yourself from when you jumped all the way until you get to the warp at the bottom. This makes you encounter a lot of pals very quickly. So to really maximize this, every time I'm at that base, if I want to warp, I would do a quick run. Over the course of time, I can guarantee you, if you do this, you will find a shiny. And what did I say? Another shiny. I've gone 5 for 5. This method is literally one of the best, if not the best that I know of right now, of how to get shinies decently often. This doubles as a money farm, because the best way to get money is by selling pals. And wouldn't you know it, Mamorests that spawn here, they go for 3 bands. $3,000 each. And if you get enough of these, you can go band for band with everyone in the village. But as you catch more and fill up your EXP bonus by catching 10 of them, as well as getting high quality pal oil, you'll be fulfilling a lot of things that you need to do just by doing this route. Not to mention that catching Nightwings as well is helpful since they sell for around $1,000 each. The people who are going to buy pals from you are pal merchants that are found in villages and black marketeers that spawn randomly on the map. Which, if you didn't know, you can catch any human you see in the game, even the merchants, and I highly advise you at least try to get the black marketeer. Please? What? Oh my gosh! The roulette got me. No one got me, Spirit got me. Real. True and real. Let's go. Let's see. That's hard. Oh my gosh, that's hard. I got the One Piece character. And I'm only stressing this because if you find a black marketeer merchant, apart from the crazy head, he's gonna sell you pals you don't have. Yo, what am I saying right now? He will sell you pals, and a lot of times you may not have them in your pal deck. So after you buy from him, you can check where their habitat is and catch 10 of them to get your EXP bonus. Something that's been talked about is how you can stack Daydreams with Hookertee's ability so that their dark damage is powered up. I would recommend having one pal on your team be significantly stronger because, let's be real, Daydream is not the strongest pal. I've been using Loop Moon, he seemed to benefit more from the damage increase, but what's even better is having multiple Hookertees instead. I noticed that you get the damage increase from multiple Hookertees, it's multiplicative. So that Daydream and Loop Moon is going to be a lot stronger because you have 3 stacks of dark power up. And there's other pals who do this for different types of pals, so try them out and see how it works for you. For this next tip though, this is easily the best farm I've seen for coal and ore, but huge disclaimer, only go here if you have access to a second base. This is dumb far from the first base that a lot of us probably built around the starting island. To make this trek, having Nightwing saddle is very helpful. You don't need it, but it's recommended. The coordinates you want to mark, which you'll see if you open your map and look on the bottom left, is going to be 190 and -37. You can honestly start from anywhere. I just started from the Pen King boss fight arena. These pals are in their 20s, so if you're not at that level and can't go band for band with them just yet, I would try to avoid them because they can literally one-tap you. It's happened to me so many times. That's why I didn't really show a guide on how to get there because I just kept getting packed. This is why I recommended Nightwing from earlier, because he can allow you to fly over all these stronger enemies if you're not at that level. You can find a lot of pals here, including Loop Moon, like I mentioned earlier. He's on the path towards the mining deposit by the Verdant Brook Warp. He's usually near the coast at night. And also don't forget that you can put down your pal base anywhere at all if you need to have a checkpoint of some sort in case you keep dying a lot. But eventually when you get to the ore deposit, build all your things on top of foundations. I can't recommend it enough. Unless your surface is completely flat on where you're building, which this mountain certainly isn't, build everything on top of a strong foundation. You know why? Because just like in life, if you don't have a strong foundation that's built from within, everything eventually that was built on top of it is gonna crumble down. And in terms of Palworld, I've noticed that pals, their AI seems to get a bit wonky when it comes to walking on hilly terrain. Especially in my first base, they would fall a lot and get stuck on stairs and get stuck in the freaking wall, and I hated it. What I would recommend to make this the most efficient, have pals that can do a lot of things. So for example, I have Pen King, which he can get pretty early. He can mine, but he can also transport. What that means is that after he's done mining, he's gonna take those ores and actually put them back in a chest if the chest already has ore in it. So you can specify where you want your pals to go put things based on what's in that chest. And eventually your base is gonna look something like this. Again, you can customize it in whatever way you want. For pals, I would recommend having at least one fire pal so he can smelt the ores into ingots, and a lot of miners. Demonetized. Miners, yes. The other one is illegal, and that's wrong. My name is not on his list. And gathering pals that can transport that ore back to your chest. And you'll have a fully automated ore and coal farm. No words to say, it's so helpful. Now that you have your second base, my next tip is spread out your working fields. What I mean by that is I noticed in my first base, I had a lot of workspaces kind of jumbled up into one space. So I noticed my pals would get confused a lot of the times and drop one task to go do the other one. And it was really annoying and things weren't getting done. So I noticed that when I spread it out more, for example, I have the stone crusher in one designated spot. Then the ores are separated from the stone crusher. So there's people who mine specifically, and there's people who mine ores specifically. So spread them out. It makes things a lot more streamlined and efficient. So I read this tip in a comment and it was very helpful. Apparently water pals can put out fires in your base. So say this is your very nice wooden hut. It gets on fire tragically. Your water pal who's assigned there, he's actually going to stop what he's doing if he's close enough to the fire and go put it out for you. If you have more water pals, this is more effective because you can see it's still burning down anyway. But it's very nice to know that, and you can kind of have that as a failsafe. To avoid all of that though, build things out of stone. Trust me, it's worth it. This tip may seem impractical, but it's actually kind of helpful depending on the situation. Standing on top of a pal sphere when you catch a pal, you'll go flying in the air for some reason, but you can use it if you want to gain a visual on where you're at, or just glide to a next area, depending if you have the stamina, which clearly I don't. Insane. Which is why you can conveniently re-equip everything. If you're on controller, if you click the right stick, you'll re-equip everything that's in your inventory on your character. And if you're on PC, just look at the bottom right, the R button that says quick stack, that's what you're supposed to press. It's the same button that you use to organize your chest when you go in your chest inventory, so it's very helpful. One thing I haven't seen talked about much is how you can easily trade pals with your friends. Say if you guys are playing in a world, if you hover over the pal in your party, there's a button that says drop pal and you can just drop it to your friend. Warning, if they're a part of another guild, they'll also be able to pick it up. So when you drop it, you pretty much relinquish all of your ownership. So if you guys have beef, do not press this button. He will steal it and yoink it and never give it back. This might have happened to me. If you're gonna be spending a lot of time at your base, I would recommend having the pals in your party craft things for you compared to the people who are on your field. For example, if you have a person in your party create a stack of arrows for you, every person in your party is going to be getting XP based on how many arrows they make. So if they make 600 arrows, for example, you're going to be getting a lot of very free XP for you and your pals in case you want to level up some people or just give them passive EXP. For this tip, I've heard from a lot of people, including you viewer, that your pals aren't working as efficiently as you'd like them to, you know? They're just not being the indentured servants that they should be. I discovered this food item that's actually really cost efficient. All you're gonna need is to be at technology level 17, but once you're there, you're gonna need to get the cooking pot, the wheat farm, the berry farm, and the mill. What we're gonna be making is jam-filled buns, and we wanna grab these 2 succulent buns because not all food items are the same. For example, the red berries, I'm sure you have 600 plus of. Yes, they give you nutrition for your pals, but they don't fill their sanity, so they're gonna tweak eventually. So you'll need pals that gather and plant, a pal that can water, and a pal that can use kindling. Now what's gonna happen is the pals that do harvesting and planting are gonna harvest the wheat for you. From there, all you have to do is put the wheat into the mill to make it into flour, and take that flour and put it into the cooking pot. It sounds like you have to do a lot of manual parts on your own, but honestly, once it gets up and running, you'll only have to check on this periodically to do those steps. And I'm sure you already have an absorbent amount of berries, which is why I didn't mention it, but you'll also be using your berries as well to make the jam. Having a chest nearby, like I mentioned before, is going to help the pals know where to put the materials in, so you don't have to manually get them. When you walk up to the mill and walk up to the cooking pot, it's going to pull from your chest, so you don't have to walk around much. Let me know in the comments what tips you guys found while you were playing the game. Subscribe if this helped you. Take care, love and light.